Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Abbey. I'm on staff here at YS. I get to lead YS Search and YS Coaching. The coaching side of things, I get to work with just a great bunch of YS coaches, and one of those is Scott Kail, who's here with me right now. Scott is from the Bay Area, but I'll turn it over to you. Let you introduce yourself a little bit, maybe give a minute or two of your background and who you are, what you do, and then we'll launch into some coaching stuff.
Well, I'm first and foremost full-time youth pastor, and in my 32nd year of doing that.
Started when he was 4.
Yes. It is still the joy of my life, and was actually just sitting with a fellow coach at dinner last night, and we looked at each other and kind of giggled and said, we get to do this. You know, we're very privileged. We're entrusted with the students that we're entrusted with, and the churches that believe in us, and then for the coaching aspect, we get a chance to, people have poured into my life so much throughout my growth as a youth pastor and maturation as a man and a husband and a family member, and now we just get a chance to do that, to sit with people and share in their joys and in their pains and in their challenges, so it's wonderful.
One of the reasons why a guy like Scott is recruited and sought after as a coach is that he's done it in his own youth ministry. You've run a phenomenal internship thing where you're continually developing youth pastors and sending them out. So thanks for that great work and that
my privilege.
That investment in the lives of young adults who are now great youth pastors out across America.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They have stories to tell about you though when they come back.
They do have to. Yes, and we get to hear about them as coaches. We hear about the horror stories of some of their training too. Not from you though, obviously. So speaking of that, as you're coaching here, well, let's give a little bit of context of what coaching has looked like here. We offered about 110 opportunities during this convention. How many of those got filled, Scott?
Every one.
Yeah, we were
the waiting list.
We were amazed by noon Friday, so not even 24 hours into the event, all 110 slots were reserved. And now we've got about a 20-person waiting list for that coaching. So we're obviously seeing some hurts and some stuckness. So I want you to speak into that. What's kind of the most prevalent themes that you've been hearing as you've been meeting with people without blowing any anonymity issues there?
John, are you out there? I'm going to talk about you right now. No, and I think before we even answer that question, part of the evolution of coaching, we've gone from consulting to coaching. And the idea that consulting meant that you had a problem or there was something that needed to be fixed to come and talk to us. And I think as we made that change and the evolution into coaching and more of our attitude towards it coming alongside, I think that's really made it more approachable and less threatening to come and sit with somebody. The question was, what do we run into most common as we sit with folks and they just share their life and their ministry with us? It really comes down almost into thirds. First of just people when they come in and they're nervous and they're not sure what they want to talk about. They don't know if we have an agenda or not, but it only takes a couple of minutes before you realize that our role is just triage and they're hurting folks coming in, that there's been just criticism or micromanaging and disappointment, just hurt, and they need some care for their soul. Just try to bring encouragement and then try to unpack a little bit what maybe has led to that. And then I think a third of it is people that are really, they're thriving in their ministry and they just want to come and do some nuts and bolts checkups and this is going well, but what else could we do a little bit better? And then quite honestly, there's maybe not a full third, but there's a sizable portion that really are struggling with just being effective in ministry. And I find that, a lot of folks are out there that really did not have the proper training and they're struggling for that and they're still searching. Some people that have just stumbled into their position by attrition or other things or opportunities and with just excitement and full bore jumped into it and now they're in over their head. And so they're trying, and there's a very small few people that honestly you just have to say, have you thought about doing something else?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you made the distinction between consulting and coaching. And I'll also make the distinction between coaching and counseling. And we have to toe that line for sure as we meet. I think a few years ago there was some shame in people signing up for coaching because it's like, I don't need counseling. Well, we're not. We're not
or you're
counseling.
admitting you're failing somehow.
Correct. But we've literally limited our times for 40 minutes now, from an hour down to 40 minutes. One, to increase capacity, but two, to serve as triage rather than the long-term fix. So let me ask specifically, you named kind of one-third, one-third, one-third. Let me ask you, that one-third that's coming in because they're dealing with pain, give me an example of what you may say. There's a true soul care issue there.
It's if it's dealing with the ghost of youth pastor past, I've just come in, spending the first couple years trying to either build up what was torn down or atrophied, or following the all-star youth pastor, and I'm not measuring up. So they're dealing with criticism and micromanagement from their elder board, from their senior pastor. And quite honestly, there's a lot of, I totally believe in the church, still do. And as much good as the church does, the church has done harm. And a lot of times, the people that reap the most harm are those that are serving within the church. And they just need to be told that they're still valuable and that they're still usable by God. And just try to affirm them. And, one of my favorite lines is, do you know how lucky your church is to have you? And when you say that to someone that's in the depths of really struggling, it's like, wow, nobody's told me that in a long time. So that's a gift we have to give. It's just to encourage and then help them be proactive in, an example of a youth pastor that was being called in on a regular basis to answer to the elders for a teaching topic that didn't go well, or an event that didn't go well, or the van was left without being refilled with gas, crisis. And so I just encourage him, how about if you be proactive and make an appointment with the elder board instead of waiting to be called in? And then as you go in, inquire, some of their concerns, but then also come in and give them, hey, can I just share with you guys where we're headed in the next 6 months, what I'm excited about, what the kids are responding to me about. And so I want you to be able to know ahead of time so that you can, as you're evaluating and you're looking and you're watching, you can see that we're doing really great things.
That's great. So that was one-third, the soul care aspect. One-third was what's specific, a specific programmatic issue. Sure. That one we can't really answer right here because there's a myriad of those. But that other third, in terms of those that inherited the youth group, those that maybe didn't get a degree in youth ministry and they're coming in, or those even that did get a degree in youth ministry but have never been trained nuts and bolts. How do you help them? They're coming in, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling like they don't really know, and we've got 40 minutes with them. What sort of practical advice do you give?
I usually lead with one of the biggest detriments that I see in the situation they're finding themselves in. And especially, it's not inherent to younger folks coming into youth ministry, but it's definitely prevalent. And just the idea that the opportunity you have in the ministry that you're in, you need to lead as a professional, because we are professionals in the field that we're in. Something simple is, you return all of your emails and you return all of your phone calls. And when you speak with parents, you speak with them differently than when you speak with their children. Just maturity issues and things like that. And then a second area with that is just what does your preparation look like? What does your time management look like? All of the things associated with being a professional. You communicate clearly to the adults. You don't have the kids be responsible for communicating what's happening next week or what time the van leaves for the trip. You communicate that clearly with the parents. And just being prepared, and not winging it, and not waiting until Wednesday afternoon at 4 to plan the 7:30 program. And just encouraging those around you to do the same thing.
Yeah. So much of what we do is just really peer-to-peer advice. And I just had the opportunity to do the interview with Fred as our YS Networks guy. And there's so much of what the coaching that we do really can be done even in a network context.
Absolutely.
But in a getting outside eyes on it is great. That's what we get to do. We're a national organization doing that, so I think it's phenomenal. There are a few times where we have to show some tough love too. So what does that look like in a 40-minute context where some corrective or consulting measures have to take place? How do you handle those?
Sure. A couple of probing questions, and I guess what my goal would be, if it's apparent to me, without being too brutal, that there's a level of cluelessness and just wandering and floundering, wondering what to do next, and just kind of a glaze. when they think about what am I supposed to do and what is my ministry going to look like in 6 months, or even the idea to think ahead that way. And just try to probe some questions where they would kind of go, you know what, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I need help. Or do I even want to continue doing this? And then maybe another idea to bring up to them is, are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Is this bringing you joy? Is it encouraging your spiritual journey, or is it completely draining it? And then just sometimes, have you thought about doing something else?
Good. So those that are here, I think it's really good advice to give, because y'all can be coaches too, not necessarily, but possibly with us, but in your own field, in your own community, through your own network, as a volunteer, as a youth pastor, youth director to your volunteer team. There's an element of coaching that needs to be there. Scott, just by way of those that maybe are here in our audience or online watching, what excites you about YS coaching as a coach for us, and what possibilities do they have out there beyond NYWC?
I love doing the coaching. I've been doing it for a number of years now, and to be able to have the privilege of getting a window into your youth ministry and to find out what it's like. I haven't been in ministry all over the country. I've been 4 or 5 different places, but I don't know what it's like to do ministry in rural Illinois, where everyone in town knows everybody. So I get a window into that. I get the opportunity, like I said earlier, that so many people have poured into my life, that I get an opportunity, even if it's just with an encouraging word, or maybe shining a flashlight somewhere that you haven't looked before, just an opportunity to minister back to you. It's just, I think it always helps with a self-evaluation for myself. My ministry, I'm more effective in ministry after I've tried to help other people, because a self-evaluation of myself is always something that follows and go, you're saying a lot of these really great things. Are you doing it at home? And are you following those same paths? And are you making sure that you're guarding your soul and that you're continuing to stay in the Word and all those type of things? And as far as the opportunities for YS, we've been working for quite a while on what's the best package we can offer, and how can we make it affordable. I'm not sure a lot of you have a big budget for coaching and for consulting and things like that, but we're trying to make it available both online, obviously here at the conventions, but with a Skype or an email chat, all the way up leading to kind of the bigger package of bringing a coach in for a day and a half or so to get a real intense look at what's going on and to meet the folks that you're ministering to, and then maybe offer a few nuggets to go from there, as well as a continuing 2 to 3 contact after that.
Absolutely. And that I'm excited, a main stage tonight, big room, to be able to roll that out. You'll be getting a chair drop, and I want you to know, you take your phone, scan it in, because we're giving away
Free.
To scan it in for free, and we're giving them away for free. One of our M-Core, which is an assessment for free. We're going to give an online coaching for free, which is 4 appointments, and we're going to give an on-site for free, which is a $1,500 value, where we're going to come out. We're giving away each one of those. So tonight, when I start talking about scan that in, because you could be one that wins. And maybe we'll even fly Scott in, because he got to do this here. So Scott, I asked this of all the people that I get to do the interview with, and we only have about 30 seconds. What is your prayer for youth workers in America?
My prayer for youth workers is that they would help not only the generations that we're dealing with now and those to come, but that you have an opportunity to apply some balm and some healing to maybe those that have been burnt by the church. The incredible ability to do good in the lives of Christians and believers, but the incredible ability to impose pain and wrong teaching and limiting people in their ability to be a part of it. And so we have the unique opportunity where we don't have to be churchy, and we can go outside of those bounds, and we can bring the love of Jesus to those that have been lied to.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much. Can we thank Scott for being here?